All right, so let's talk home, smart home, tech products for your home, whatever you want to call it. In this video, we're going to go over some of my new to me favorite smart home accessories, most of which are HomeKit compatible, but some are just kind of like new tech products for the house that I really enjoy using. So I wanted to share them with you. Now, this is a mega important disclaimer. Absolutely none of these products were sponsored by any means. And by that, I mean there was no additional money given to us. Nobody paid for any of these thoughts. These are just all views and opinions that I formulated on my own. Now, some of these products were given to us, not all of them, but some of them were given to us to check out so that we could, formulate those opinions. But if I didn't like them in any way, shape, or form, I probably wouldn't be including them in this video. All right, so let's start off with most common smart home products, and that's smart lighting. And no, I'm not going to show you, Philips Hue bulbs or just smart bulbs like that. We all pretty much know those by now, even though those products are great, and I do use Philips Hue bulbs a lot myself. But that solution can become a bit expensive depending on your setup, especially in my case where the builder of this home decided to go absolutely wild on the amount of recessed ceiling lighting. I mean, I did the math and it would cost us a fortune to be able to control all of these lights with individual smart bulbs. And not to mention our Wi-Fi would just be bogged down with all of those devices. So the solution here for me were these Caseta light switches by Lutron. Now, instead of replacing each bulb, I got this pack from Lutron that comes with an entire light switch that you would replace itself. And now that might seem daunting, but it's not. In most cases, like mine here, you just connect 2 or 3 wires and then you screw it back into the wall. Now you can get some sort of like starter pack with a light switch and a hub and a remote control all included. But yeah, you will need some sort of hub to communicate with your Wi-Fi. But once you get that all up and running, you can then connect the switch to the Lutron app for the ability to control it with your phone, or my preferred method, you can actually just use the Home app for use with HomeKit. Now, obviously, this means Siri can also assist you when you need it, but the best part, in my opinion, is that for those who don't really want to worry about using their smart home devices to turn on a light, you can actually just use the light switch like you need it when you want to use it like a normal light switch. And then whenever you need your smart home integration via Siri, or if you just want to use the app, you can do that as well. So that's a great perk with this specific light switch. Lutron also has another company that specializes in the smart shade business. And I'll be honest with you, it is a luxury smart home accessory and not something that I'd recommend to everyone. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how good these shades actually are. I think it's a combination of the easy install process, which is literally just measure your window frame and then enter in those measurements, order the frames, and then when you get it, it's kind of this one piece that you put up into the wall. You use a couple of screws and it mounts right there, and then you snap the shades in. And it was, at least for my setup, super easy. And then the best part about all of this is you can use your voice, the app, or a remote control to have your shades go up and down. Now, believe me, I get it. These shades can be pretty expensive depending on how many windows you want to do. But if you're someone who's looking for something like this setup, where in my basement, I actually do have 2 windows. And while it's nice to have natural light in the basement, sometimes you want those shut. And so my favorite part is if I'm laying on the couch watching the game, or if I'm in my office working and I want to shut those windows, I don't actually have to get up to do that. I can use my voice, the apps, anything that I need to, or the remote control, and I really like having that option. Now, the app does have customization options for both the light switch and the shades, and you can tell it whether you want both shades to go up and down at the same time, stop at a certain point, etc. But there's a ton of different looks on the websites, different patterns, colors, etc. So it might be worth checking out if you are looking for smart shades. If you're not, then you can just skip on to the next product, which I'm going to talk about right now. Now, let's say you don't want to mess with wires and you have a lot of smart HomeKit enabled bulbs anyways, but you still want to control it with some sort of switch or toggle. There's a ton of these products out there, but one that I've got recently is the Belkin Wemo Stage Scene Controller. And this might look like a normal light switch that can also detach from the wall and carry it around like a remote. But the best part about this, in my opinion, is that it's not just tied down to lights, but rather any HomeKit accessory with this controller. So you don't have to just control lights, you can control pretty much anything you want. So once you get the controller set up in the Home app, you can adjust your short or long press actions for 3 buttons on the controller. Now, the possibilities are endless and definitely an accessory, in my opinion, that you'll want if you are a huge HomeKit person and you want that flexibility to use a switch to control your devices. I'm kind of boring, so I did use it with lights, but I did program the second switch to turn on to my favorite playlist when I walk into the door. So I can long press on that or short press, I forget what I had it set to be. And then my HomePod here in the studio will actually turn on to my favorite playlist as I'm walking in the door, and I can control lights or any HomeKit product that I need to. Next up is this ceiling fan from Hunter. It is a HomeKit ceiling fan, also works with Alexa and Google Home. But one of the best parts about this idea of this fan is that I can just control the intensity from bed and turn it on from my bed. I don't have to worry about getting up to flip the switch or whatever. So there's nothing worse than being in bed and being too hot and having to get up out of bed just to turn the fan on. I know that's a first world problem, but you know, if you have the ability to install this fan, I highly recommend it because you can just ask Siri on your HomePod or your phone, or you can just pick up your phone in the middle of the night if you don't want to disturb your, person that's sleeping next to you or in the same room or whatever it might be, and you can just toggle the fan on and off, or you can use a controller if you want to. Hunter has been making high quality ceiling fans for forever now, and I actually have a bunch of the non-smart home versions that were installed when this house was built. So HomeKit enabled fans has really been a game changer for me, in my opinion. The best part is, if you're watching this for some reason and you do not use HomeKit, as I mentioned before, you can use this with Google and Alexa as well, and you can control the fan and light via the app, or there is an included remote control if you want to do so. You've probably noticed there's also a light attached to the ceiling fan, and that can also be controlled via the app or the voice assistant or your, phone, however you want to do it. And it's reasonably priced, in my opinion, at around $180. I know you can get fans for cheaper, but to have this functionality, in my opinion, is worth the extra cost. Now, moving on to a AirPlay specific product, Sonos just recently came out with its second generation Beam soundbar. And this time, the popular audio accessories includes Dolby Atmos surround sound. Now, the best part about this soundbar is not only is it AirPlay 2 compatible, but it's one of my favorite smaller form factor soundbars that now just includes Dolby Atmos. I actually purchased the original Beam a few years ago when it first came out, and it didn't have Atmos, and I still loved it. And if you're stuck between maybe getting the first generation at a slightly reduced price or getting the second, I would definitely say at least try the second one out first, because Dolby Atmos is really, really good, and you'll definitely notice it when you're watching movies that support Dolby Atmos. Other than that, it looks the exact same, it acts the exact same, and is still the same footprint as before. If you use the Sonos app, or if you have any other Sonos products, you can pair it and send music easily via AirPlay, via the iPhone Control Center menu, however you want to do it. But getting Dolby Atmos at this price in this form factor, I definitely think you should check it out, especially if you're in the Sonos AirPlay ecosystem. All right, time for some quick bonus items, two of which are definitely a stretch when it comes to smart home. They're not smart home at all. They're just tech products that I enjoy using in my house. But I do want to show off the new orange color option of the HomePod Mini first, because that's available for the holiday season in new colors like blue, yellow, and orange that you see here, along with the traditional black and white color options from before. The HomePod Mini is one of the cheaper and better solutions for controlling HomeKit devices via Siri, in my opinion, in your house, and it looks and sounds amazing. So if you're looking at picking one up, you can get them in new colors. The last two bonus items are not smart home or HomeKit products at all, like I said before, but I just recently got them and I use them every day, and I can't imagine my life without them right now because I am addicted to them. I love them. I don't know why. So first up is the Dyson V15 Detect Vacuum. This wireless vacuum from Dyson is a lot like some of the previous models over the last few years, but it has one really cool trick up its sleeve, and that's lasers. Yes, that's right. This thing fires out some lasers to help reveal microscopic dust when vacuuming. It's honestly great, even though I find myself vacuuming in the dark a lot more, so I can actually see the lasers better. But it's also a catch-22 in my opinion, because it shows you that your house is much more disgusting than you think it is, or at least what you would see beyond the naked eye, and that you need to vacuum a lot more. which is fine because it's really satisfying to use this. And as you can see here, there are loads of dog hair that you just cannot see when the lasers are off. But the moment I turn on the vacuum, I see them, and I love vacuuming off the floor so that I know that it's actually gone, and all of that dirt and hair that's not noticeable to anyone else with these light floors, you use this vacuum, you see that you're actually missing a lot more than you thought. It has great battery life. You can see stats on the back of the vacuum itself. And honestly, I just really love using this vacuum right now. And last but not least, I am a huge coffee and espresso fan, and I have been researching what machines to get and stumbled upon the Terra Kaffe TK01. Now I know the $800 price tag is going to scare a lot of you, but hear me out on this because there are a lot of features that this machine can do that a lot of higher end espresso machines would charge you at least $3,000, $2,000 to $3,000 at minimum for something like this, where you won't even get some of these features because a lot of them aren't fully automatic. You have a few different categories like Americano, espresso, traditional espresso, coffee drinks that you can make, and cappuccinos and lattes with the added accessories. Now, some of my favorite things about this machine is that it's built-in automatic bean grinder, so it automatically knows how much it's going to grind up and use for the drink that you're making. It actually automatically tamps the coffee in, so you don't have to do anything. You pick what you want, you tap the button, it makes the drink, and it's pretty much perfect every time. And there are also a ton of other, adjustments that you can make to the grind level, the ability to froth your milk at a certain temperature, just a bunch of things that you can do to change it up and really fine tune it. But for me, out of the box, aside from some few different adjustments that I've made, it's been pretty much great so far. And if you're sitting there wondering if it can make a regular cup of coffee, kind of. You can just make an Americano, which is coffee and water, but pulled from espresso, and 90% of the time it's absolutely amazing for me. There are a few things that are a bit cumbersome with this machine, but honestly, the features that I love far outweigh the negatives about this machine so far. And that's it. These are just some of the tech that I use in my home, and there's honestly a lot more devices that I might do another video in the future, so please let me know in the comments down below if you liked any of this. If there's a device that you want me to check out, please let me know in those comments down below. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.